Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores. Sorry I am so late with all of this information, but of course we still have to dive into it. I was busy all yesterday, like left the house 10 a.m., didn't get back in until super late from different groups of people, family all over the place. So either way, that's why I'm so late hitting y'all with this video, and that's why I ran out of time to do like a full-blown preview like I do before every week. But at the very least, I had to go ahead and hit y'all with this Deebo Samuel, Cosmi, and Jonathan Jones update, man. And we got to really dive into how bad is this wide receiver group actually. Like, I have like a really cool stat for you that it's like, wow. You know what I'm saying? So is it time for JD5 to be Superman? You see this hat. You know how much I believe in this running back. And do we potentially have a dominant O-line? And will it even matter? Love Deebo Samuel. And we're going to talk about how big of a part of this offense he's been. But can we potentially rely on winning in the trenches over all of the flashy skill position players that we've lost? We're going to dive into all of that and more, but before we do, make sure you still farm that like button, still farm the subscription button, still farm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Appreciate y'all for supporting every video. Stay in tune to all of the live streams. Of course, I will be live streaming this game later on. So the game starts at around 4:30. I'm gonna start streaming at like 4:30 or 4. So just make sure you pull up for that. Shouts out to my watch to the end gang. Shouts out to the late night crew. Shouts out the Noti gang as well. Now let's go ahead and dive into this video right now instead of wasting even more of y'all time. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so just in case, because I know a lot of people out there, you know, maybe you only rely on me for any Commanders updates. So no matter how late I am on something, no matter how breaking news it is to where everybody's probably already talked about it, I still feel the need to make sure I'm somebody's one-stop shop out there. So let's dive into everything that went down yesterday, man. And I was man, when I was outside the house, I was like, man, I want to get home so bad to record a video, but I couldn't, bro. It was a lot going on yesterday. But either way, wide receiver Deebo Samuel is out for tomorrow's game versus the Cowboys. Now, our top 3 starting wide receivers are out. Not only 3 starting wide receivers, but literally the top 3 according to the depth chart entering the season. Shouts out to Tom Pelissero. He also was a person that like put this out there. I think he was the first person I saw personally, and his exact tweet was, Commanders wide receiver Deebo Samuel won't travel to Dallas and has been ruled out for Sunday's game versus the Cowboys. In a big division game, Washington will be without its top 3 receivers, Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown, and now Samuel. So now what? Without Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, and Noah Brown, who is Jaden Daniels about to throw the ball to, man? Who's even going to try to get open versus this actually quite terrible Cowboys defense? I mean, if there ever were a defense that we could go in there, go into any game without Terry, Deebo, or Noah, this is the one defense that you could probably still throw the ball against. But still, bro, without your top 3 receivers, it's going to be difficult to throw the ball against anybody. I mean, even maybe a college team, bro. But shouts out to Billy Tinkle. He brings up a great point. With Deebo being out, that means Luke McCaffrey technically is like your wide receiver 1 based off of what we've seen so far this year from every receiver that we have available going into this game. Luke McCaffrey literally is wide receiver 1. He also said Luke might get his first 100-yard game. Like, it's that crazy. Now, I'm not going to go that far because it's even as great as Deebo Samuel has been for us this year, it's not like it's been automatic that he gets 100 yards every game, even with him getting the ball so much. And we're going to dive into that later, how much not having Deebo Samuel potentially hurts his offense, because he's not just a receiver, he's also a running back. He's been our most heavily targeted wide receiver, no matter like it's behind the line of scrimmage, ahead of the line of scrimmage, deep down the field, all of that, bro. So not having him is going to be very weird. But now, Chris Moore, Luke McCaffrey, and Jalen Lane are probably your starting wide receivers. Mind you, this is a very important NFC East showdown now. We're going against the Dallas Cowboys. I know a lot of y'all, especially in the DMV area, y'all are like, y'all don't care how the season goes. Y'all just need to beat Dallas twice and then you're happy. You're good to go by the end of the season. So I know this is really important to a lot of y'all, but just even division wise, man, this is our chance to really separate ourselves this game. But just to let you know, let's run down the entire list of available wide receivers that the Commanders have. Again, Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, and Chris Moore. Not only are those your starting three potentially, those are the only three that are on the active 53-man roster, the official 53-man roster right now. Everybody else I'm about to list the name are currently on the practice squad, y'all. I don't think y'all understand how far we're digging down to get these receivers, bro. So you have Robbie Chosen. He's going to make his debut. We're going to dive into that very soon. Practice squad. Ja'Cory Brooks, undrafted free agent rookie. Practice squad. Traylon Burks, just got him a couple of days ago. Highly doubt he plays in this game, even though out of this entire group, I would say he has the highest ceiling, probably the most natural talent. You know, of course, he was drafted the highest out of all of these guys as well, with good reason. He just hasn't lived up to it with the couple of years he was with the Tennessee Titans. You can blame injuries for that. You can also blame horrible quarterbacks for that as well. I think if anybody can get Traylon Burks to turn into that first round talent that he has within him somewhere, maybe it's deep within him, but it's in there, it's Jaden Daniels. And then you also have Jacoby Jones, and I believe he played for the DC Defenders at some point. That's also practice squad. Now, granted, again, Traylon Burks is the most talented receiver out of this entire list that I just gave you of 7 guys, but I highly doubt he plays against the Cowboys. This team typically, when they sign a wide receiver, even if whether he goes straight to the practice squad or straight to the 53-man roster, they typically have to miss at least a week. Like even last year, Noah Brown had to miss that first game of the season versus the Buccaneers. Then he played against the Giants week 2, and then he really didn't even start getting the ball until the second half of that week 2 Giants game. So I don't expect Traylon. But then again, we've never been in a situation where our receiver core was just this hurt, this down bad. Maybe he makes his immediate debut just a couple of days later, but I don't even think he knows the playbook. And I definitely wouldn't expect him to be out there on run plays, because Cliff Kingsbury is very strict with the wide receivers he has out there on running plays. Your wide receivers have to be able to block in a Cliff Kingsbury offense. Is Traylon Burks ready to not only be able to block, is he a willing blocker? Is he a good blocker? Those are two separate things alone. Let alone, does he even know the run plays to be able to know when, where, and how to block in certain situations? So for all of those reasons, even outside of just him being a wide receiver, running routes and catching the ball, run game wise, I don't even expect Traylon Burks to be active in this game. Even if he does play, he's not going to be out there very much, because you can't trust him in the run game just yet. I know Cliff Kingsbury doesn't just after a couple of days of practice, bro. He needs at least a week just for that alone, just the run game alone, let alone building chemistry with Jaden Daniels. But Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, and Chris Moore, your top receivers. This is pretty much a nightmare scenario. Especially if you would have asked me way back in like training camp, you know, at some point this season, Terry, Deebo, and Noah Brown are going to be so hurt that your top 3 receivers are Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, and Chris Moore. I would have just assumed we would lose that game no matter who the opponent was. But now that we've kind of like, you've not had Terry for so long, you've not had Noah Brown for so long, and then even Deebo Samuel last week against the Bears was a shell of himself. He shouldn't have played. Just like how they already announced him as out before this Cowboys game started, they should have went ahead and did that against the Bears. So even though he was out there, he technically wasn't out there, and we still had a really good chance of winning that game if we didn't literally give the game away to them. And if our defense just wasn't just wet toilet paper, you know what I'm saying? That would help as well. So, I mean, we've seen that Jaden Daniels can work his magic regardless of the receivers that he has around him. But, of course, with no Terry, no Deebo, could this be the weekend that Robbie Chosen is finally active for the Commanders for the first time after we signed him a couple of weeks ago? And Dan Quinn spoke on the veteran receiver on I think 17th. I think that was Friday the 17th. He said, quote, "You can see an intensity about him. I want this shot. I want this moment. I want this chance," unquote. And then the Commanders ended up elevating Robbie Chosen. So it sounds like now he technically is on the 53-man roster. So now switch that list that I gave you earlier. Now your top 4 wide receivers are Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, Chris Moore, Robbie Chosen, all on the 53-man roster. And then the other 3 guys are on the practice squad. So now you have 4 active roster wide receivers, 3 practice squad ones. We'll see how they handle that. They also elevated Sheldon Day from the practice squad as well. And then that now takes us to all of the moves that they made. They activated Samuel Cosmi from the injured reserve physical and able to perform list. Yes, sir. They They activated cornerback Jonathan Jones from the reserved injured list as well. We're going to dive into both of them, of course. They also released Jalen Holmes. We're going to dive into that a little bit later. And, of course, like I just said, they elevated wide receiver Robbie Chosen and Sheldon Day from the practice squad as well. Now, how bad, or at the very least, how unproven is this wide receiver group? Well, shouts out to Resh Manuel. He has a great pull because the Commanders' offensive lineman, Trent Scott, has more touchdown receptions since the start of the 2024 season than 5 of the 7 available wide receivers that we just talked about. But again, between Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, Chris Moore, and now Robbie Chosen all on the active roster, Ja'Cory Brooks, Traylon Burks, and Jacoby Jones on the practice squad, our third tackle that touches the field sometimes has, because remember, Jaden Daniels' first touchdown pass in his NFL career was week 3 against the Bengals last year to none other than Trent Scott. And because of that, he has more touchdown receptions than 5 of the 7 receivers that we have on this roster since 2024 last season. That is absolutely scary how unproven this team is, because we even have some guys like Robbie Chosen. Yeah, he has touchdowns, but he's old. You know what I'm saying? You have Chris Moore that he just scored a touchdown, but he still drops passes. Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane are still developing. They're still very young. And then everybody else behind them on the practice squad is still developing and very young, bro. We don't have anybody that's proven and also not old at the same time. You're either really old or unproven. It's an ugly situation. And then shouts out to Ben Standig for this picture. He said it's hard finding offensive consistency when there's no lineup consistency on offense. I mean, look at this. Start of camp. Your quarterback is Jaden Daniels. Your running backs are Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler. Your wide receivers are McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Noah Brown, Jalen Lane. Your tight ends are Zach Ertz and John Bates. By week 2, now it's Daniels at quarterback with Austin Eckler and Cosmi Merritt at running back, and those are still your wide receivers, and those are still your tight ends. By week 3, Mariota's at quarterback. You have Cosmi Merritt, McNichols, and C-Rod. Austin Eckler's gone. McLaurin, Samuel are out there, but no Noah Brown. Then you have Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane, and then even John Bates was hurt then. Then you come back week 7, Jaden Daniels is back, of course. Cosmi Merritt is your only real dependable running back that you expect to go out there and contribute a lot, because even Chris Rodriguez has been banged up the last couple of weeks. Then now you have Jalen Lane, Chris Moore, and Luke McCaffrey with a combination of like Brooks, Robbie Chosen, Jones, and it's just ugly. Then you even have a question mark next to Zach Ertz because he's even questionable coming into this game. And granted, you have John Bates back, but golly, man, there has been no consistency for this offense. Shouts out to Cliff Kingsbury for still going out there and doing what he does. And then not only just Cliff Kingsbury, Jaden Daniels. Shouts out to Spin Doc on Twitter. He brings up a great point. Jaden Daniels in 4 games has 875 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Of course, 1 fumble as well. That sophomore slump stuff is just wish casting by haters. I completely agree. That fumble against the Bears was the first lost fumble of his NFL career, and let alone it was caused because of the rain. Now, granted, of course, you would think because it's raining, he would be aware of the fact that, yes, my hands are potentially slippery. Let me really lock it and make sure I don't lose this ball. But mind you, that is the first lost fumble of Jaden Daniels' NFL career. And, of course, you've had Terry missing most of the season. Jaden Daniels has us covered, bro. And Zone Runner even agrees and quote tweeted it by saying, Bo Nix is actually the one that's having the real sophomore slump. Really, just nobody's talking about it, though, for some crazy reason, because his defense is so great. But clearly, Bo Nix is part of the Broncos' defense, I guess. Jaden Daniels is just really good. He looks way better than he did in his first 4 games last year. I completely agree with that as well. This Jaden Daniels, the first 4 games of 2025 that he's played in, at least, has looked way better than the first 4 games he looked like last year. So why do anybody in this fan base not have faith and optimism in what Jaden Daniels can achieve this year, bro? I don't get it. Jaden is seeing it quicker from pre-snap. From what I noticed, I agree. He is this year already way ahead better than what he was through his first 4 games last year. So we should be really optimistic. And mind you, this is the same Jaden Daniels that threw 2 touchdowns each to Olamide Zaccheaus and Jamison Crowder in the same game last year, y'all. 2 to Olamide, 2 to Jamison. In the same game, bro. I feel like if there is any quarterback that can score 30-plus points with this receiver group that we're walking into this Cowboys game with, it's Jaden Daniels. And maybe 3-4 other quarterbacks in the entire NFL that can score 30-plus points with this wide receiver group. I mean, we have one of those ones at quarterback, y'all, and I just feel like some of y'all need to be reminded of that, man. And I mean, now even though we lost Deebo, We did gain Samuel Cosmi back for the first time since January, and also cornerback Jonathan Jones for the first time since week 2. Adam Schefter even tweeted it. Commanders are activating guard Samuel Cosmi from the reserve pup list and cornerback Jonathan Jones from the injured reserve. Cosmi tore his ACL against Detroit in the playoffs last year, and Jones injured his hamstring in week 2 versus Green Bay. We haven't seen either of those guys since, and they're both coming back at the same time. Shouts out to Jake from State Farm too. I completely agree. He said recovering from an ACL tear in 9 months is very impressive. Cosmi is a stud. Yeah, that's not normal. Let's not take that for granted. That is actually really insane to return and play in an NFL game within 9 months of tearing your ACL. That is absolutely incredible. So now maybe our passing game will be less efficient, and at the very least, maybe not less efficient because Jaden Daniels is just different, but it will be less threatening because of the receivers that we're going into this game with. But now, maybe our offensive line has the chance to go from really good to dominant. You know what I'm saying? We have that potential. Shouts out to Jake Cardnick. This is a guy that is not a Commanders fan, Commanders reporter, nothing. Completely national neutral analyst here saying the return of Samuel Cosmi is huge for Washington. One of my highest rated guards in the entire NFL. Remember, last year, Pro Football Focus did an article of their top guards heading into the 2024 season. Of course, not this 2025 season because he was hurt way back in January, so they didn't even I don't even know where they had him potentially in 2025 season, but I'm not about to let injuries affect, with the fact that he's going to miss a lot of the season where he ranks. But going into 2024, they had him ranked 3rd behind only Chris Lindstrom and Joe Thuney. They feel like he's one of the, at worst, 5 best guards in the entire NFL. That's what you're gaining back. Mind you, I want to remind people that, he's only 26 years old, dog. He is only 26 years old. So it's not like, we're getting a guy that's returning from injury, but he's in his 30s, so maybe he's not the same. No, Samuel Cosmi is about to literally be Samuel Cosmi once again, bro. So now you have Samuel Cosmi back. You have Jonathan Jones back. And even Robbie Chosen is making his Commanders debut, even not as old as he is. This could be pretty exciting. Losing Deebo, of course, hurts. You never want to lose Deebo. And I don't even want to get into discussions of whether really losing Deebo is worth it as long as you're getting Samuel Cosmi and Jonathan Jones back. But I'm really happy to have Samuel Cosmi and Jonathan Jones back. Shouts out to Chris Russell, too. He said the Commanders should have the advantage in the trenches in this game, especially with Samuel Cosmi back. I would expect that they might rotate Cosmi and Wiley at right guard while Sam is ramping up in game reps. And I think I could definitely see that happening. We'll see, though. Maybe they'll just go ahead and throw him out there and he'll play every snap. We'll see. But he said, out of the way, control the line of scrimmage and you probably win. We did not control the line of scrimmage against the Bears. We were supposed to. We were supposed to be the better defensive line versus their offensive line. We were supposed to be the better offensive line versus their defensive line, and it didn't play out that way. We could talk about all of the different things that went on throughout that game with the secondary getting exposed. We couldn't stop the run. Our offense, we couldn't run the ball and stuff but at the end of the day, and even with the Jaden Daniels turnovers and the Bill lost fumble as well, at the end of the day, we couldn't control the trenches, and that's the main reason we lost that game against the Bears. We may be able to control the trenches in this game, and that's why this could be a completely different game than even that Bears game, even without Deebo Samuel. And mind you, we technically didn't have Deebo Samuel last week against the Bears either, y'all. He was out there, but he was not Deebo Samuel. That was just some other guy, bro. That was he was a shell of himself. So we really are, this is our second game without Deebo Samuel. So don't panic. I know you see Deebo Samuel's out and we start to panic as a fan base. I get it. But Deebo Samuel was technically out last week against the Bears as well. And we still nearly won that game. And don't forget about Jonathan Jones, who was the starting corner for the Patriots last year. And again, our secondary has been inconsistent this season, and he's our 4th best corner at worst. Having him back is pretty big too. Now, does us getting Jonathan Jones back cancel out the Cowboys getting CeeDee Lamb back? No, of course not. But getting Jonathan Jones back doesn't hurt. And we just have to hope that maybe Dorrance Armstrong is healthy, and then he, Von Miller, and Jacob Martin get after Dak so much and so consistently that Dak doesn't even have the chance to throw the ball at all to CeeDee Lamb and those other wide receivers. Now, before we move on to the rest of this video, shouts out to Sleeper, man. Football is a full go, and with Sleeper, you have a chance to 1,000 times your cash on daily fantasy football, man. Even without Deebo Samuel, especially now that we could potentially dominate in the trenches, at least on the offensive side of the ball, man. Washington football has the chance to do something great later on today. Beat the Cowboys, man. You know what I'm saying? And of course, even though we don't have Deebo nor Terry McLaurin, you still have Jaden Daniels, you still have Bill, Luke McCaffrey's been hooping. Now he's probably stepping in technically into a wide receiver 1 role, so you can pick on stats for these stars like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more for up to 1,000 times payout on Sleeper. And right now, as you can see on the screen, new users can even get a free $20 without a deposit on top of the already get a 100% match up to $100 using promo code SCORE, that's SCORE, and you can even just click the link at the top of the description of this video and every video and live stream I'm doing all season, including the postseason as well. Now, granted, because I'm in a rush to hurry up and get up out of here, I won't be able to do any like random picks with y'all, but still, shout out to Sleeper, man. Big shout out to Sleeper. And of course, it's not just the Commanders in the NFL, bro. It's the NBA that's starting to get back going. It's the MLB that's in full swing. It's NHL that's in full swing. College football in the full swing. Y'all see my Georgia Bulldogs. I know you do, man. We're historically like one of the worst first half teams in college football history, but we figure out how to pull it out in the end. But college basketball will be back eventually as well. And then WNBA just wrapped up their season, but they'll be back as well. You can play daily fantasy with all of those different sports. They're even trying to work on getting soccer into the mix, man. So stay tuned with Sleeper. Shouts out to Sleeper. Now let's get back to this video. And as you can see on the screen right now, man, according to Kalshi, I hope that's how you pronounce that, Kalshi Sports or whatever, the Commanders have a 29% chance to win the division right now, even after that Bears loss. And just to let you know, if we would have beat the Bears, we would have at least been over 50% because we would have been the #1 team in the NFC East and in the driver's seats. We would have been in control of our own destiny. Now, we have to hope the Eagles go out there and lose again. I believe they play the Vikings this weekend. If they lose to the Vikings and we beat the Cowboys, now we have a chance to go #1 in the division once again. Can we please go do that, Commanders? Can we handle our business? Don't even focus on whether the Eagles win or not. Can you just beat the Cowboys? That's the most important thing. Because if Jaden Daniels can win this game, and maybe, just maybe, our defense, that is like the 4th most expensive defense in the entire NFL according to Cap Space, again, dedicated to defense only, God forbid they actually play well, we still have a chance to try and take this division over and at the very least separate ourselves from the Cowboys and Giants, even if the Eagles do win, bro. We need this win. This is a very pivotal win right here. And to my point, again, you can lose Deebo Samuel. You can gain Samuel Cosmi back. But at the end of the day, bro, we lost that Bears game more so because of defense to anything else. Shouts out to Mark Phillips. I completely agree. He said we basically played without Deebo last week against a better defense in the rain and still put up 24 points. The offense will be fine. The concern is the defense. I completely agree, bro. I'm not worried about the offense at all, even without Deebo Samuel. Now, the passing game, shouts out to Mark Fulton. He said the passing game has essentially ran through Deebo to this point, which does scare me. His loss is far bigger than Terry, in my opinion. I completely agree. Deebo, even with Terry healthy and Deebo Samuel healthy at the same time, Deebo has been far more important to this offense's success and efficiency, bro. Whether it's manufactured touches out of the backfield, screens behind the line of scrimmage stuff, or even deep down the field and things like that. But he also said Dallas's defense is pretty bad, so you should still be able to score. I completely agree. Also, when you don't have your top 3 receivers and your defense is very questionable, running the ball becomes the obvious answer, right? You know what I'm saying? But just like last week against the Bears, the Cowboys are going to prioritize stopping the Commanders' run game and just daring our receivers to get open and make plays. But you see this hat? You see this guy in the background? You already know I have faith in JD5, Cliff Kingsbury, and Bill to somehow figure it out and get it done. And I also have faith that our run game will not be stifled 2 weeks in a row. Bill has scored a touchdown every other game this season. He didn't score one last week and had a fumble. I think this is the game where he really bounces back. I think he's going to explode fantasy points wise. But then again, I felt like that way going into last game with the Bears having the worst run defense in the NFL. But again, they did everything they could to stop the run. It doesn't matter how bad your run defense is. If they send more guys than we can block, if they're sending 8 to our 5, there's nothing we can do. You know what I'm saying? So our wide receivers do have to threaten this Cowboys secondary at least enough for them to take a guy or two out of the box and then then Bill can explode to do what he normally does, but we'll see. Also, JP Finley brings up a good point, though, and I said that we were going to address this later on. Commanders releasing Jalen Holmes is confusing. He's been good. I get you needed a roster spot for Cosmi, but that wouldn't have been my decision. I completely agree. First of all, Jalen Holmes has been good. Secondly, he plays 2 positions for you, defensive tackle and edge rusher. And third, our edge rusher group is honestly my biggest concern going into this game. I'm more worried about the edge rusher group and the injuries we have there and the guys that we have available, even compared to the wide receiver group. I'm way more concerned about the edge rusher group, dog. So why would you get rid of another edge rusher? I mean, I guess this is a positive sign that Dorrance Armstrong is healthy if you're willing to release Jalen Holmes to allow Samuel Cosmi to come back onto the roster, because you already have Dietrich Wise injured reserve, Javonte Jean-Baptiste injured reserve. Now you have Dorrance Armstrong banged up, but I'm just assuming he's healthy and good to go. Even though he left the Bears game, came back in, got a sack, and then left again, and didn't participate in practice all week this past week leading up to this Cowboys game, he better be good with the fact that we released Jalen Holmes. We need as many edge rushers as we could get. Preston Smith looked like our worst player on the entire team last week, and there were a lot of bad players on that field for us on offense and defense. Preston Smith stood out as the worst, like obviously, like he was that bad. He separated himself from being that bad on the field, bro. Let alone Von Miller can't set the edge. I like him in pass rush situations, but he and Jacob Martin, I don't expect to set the edge in the run game, and I don't think it's any coincidence that teams are now able to run the ball against us once all of our starting edge rushers are out of the game or injured reserve or hurt, just banged up, whatever. So I don't know, man. Dorrance Armstrong must be way healthier than I originally assumed. Also, shouts out to George Carmi for pointing out the fact that Nikki Javala, she framed the influence of Adam Peters' draft picks. Over the last 2 seasons, the Commanders' draft picks have played the most snaps over any rookie class, nearly half the true starters. Shouts out to Ron Rivera for setting us up for failure so bad that we have to play our rookie draft picks more than any other team the past 2 years since Adam Peters and Dan Quinn have taken over. I thought that was pretty interesting, but we'll see. I mean, that's not even including Brandon Coleman right now, who's inactive going into games. Not even on the bench. He's inactive going into the games as a 3rd round pick. Then you have Javonte Jean-Baptiste on IR. Dominique Hampton got cut. You know, that's all kinds of stuff going on right now, but we'll see what happens. I just thought that was pretty interesting to bring up. And then also, if you look on the screen right now, basically, most of America is going to be watching how Jaden Daniels figures out to score points with this wide receiver group. As you can see, pretty much everybody but the Midwest and in that northern westish area, and then you have Phoenix, because they're the ones that's playing against Green Bay. So that's why the Midwest with Green Bay, and then you have Arizona down there isolated by itself. Pretty much everybody else is watching this upcoming Washington at Dallas game. Jaden Daniels, put on for everybody while everybody's watching, please, man. America's game of the week, bro. This is our chance to go out there and get another Tom Brady LFG player of the week, man. This is our chance. You know, Bill won it once. I think Jaden Daniels won it the other time. This is our chance to win our 3rd one this season, I believe. And then also, this is a game of strengths and weaknesses. The Cowboys have the 3rd passing grade offense, while the Commanders' defense is dead last. But at the same time, the Commanders' rushing grade is 8th, and we were 1st coming into that Bears game, but then the Bears shut it down by, again, sending more guys at us than we can block. But the Cowboys' defense is 32nd in run defense grade. So these are 2 potentially horrible defenses going against 2 really good offenses. The Cowboys in particular passing, the Commanders in particular running. We'll see which one breaks, bro. Let's see if ours can be better than theirs. And then shouts out to Commander Brian. He said the best thing that can slow down the Dallas Cowboys offense tomorrow is Marshawn Lattimore finds a way to get George Pickens ejected. Hey, man. That would be a good cancel out right there, bro. Rio Robinson said that Lattimore Pickens double ejection gonna feed families. Ejectocito, cuz that's the level playing field. He said, let's level the playing field, man. Hey. You know, I'm not the guy that roots for injuries, and I don't root for, you know, typically extracurricular things like that. But, man, if Lattimore and George Pickens can cancel each other out, man, that definitely does sway the game in our advantage a little bit. But, hey, man, Lattimore, just lock up, bro. Just don't even get into any fights, bro. For real. Just lock him up, man. And then also, shouts out to Rep the District. I thought this was an interesting point as well. This feels like a game where Dan Quinn can outcoach Brian Schottenheimer. I completely agree. I think this is our chance where Dan Quinn finally feels like he outcoached the opposing head coach. I think this is one of the very few times we can out-time manage them. We can manage our timeouts better. Like, we can, you know, be more aggressive, go for it on fourth downs in the right situations. I feel like if there were ever a game, I agree with Rep the District, this is the time that Dan Quinn, it could feel like he helped us win a game. You know what I'm saying? Outside of like what he does throughout the week, like practices, game planning and stuff like that. I feel like in-game decision-wise, this is a chance for Dan Quinn to really stand out. Let's get it. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Let me know. Make sure you stiff on that like button, stiff on the subscription button, and all of that type of stuff, man. I'm all over the place because, again, yesterday was busy. I'm rushing to get out right now and everything. But either way, and I will be back home to make sure I'm here to live stream this game by 3:30, 4 p.m. at the latest. So make sure you pull up for that, man. But of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything discussed in this video, man. And I had so many other interesting stats and matchups that I wanted to give y'all with my preview video. I just didn't have the time, and I wanted to at least make sure I gave y'all the Deebo Samuel Cosmi and Jonathan Jones update. So I found the time for that. But man, I'll probably give y'all a lot of those stats in my live stream leading up to the game. Again, I'll start live streaming at 4 p.m. at the latest, and then the game starts at like 4:30. So in that in-between time, I'm gonna give y'all a lot of the stats and matchups that I thought were really interesting that are gonna matter the most going into this game then. So make sure you pull up for that live stream. Really appreciate y'all. Let me know how y'all feel about everything discussed in the video. Losing Deebo, but gaining Cosmi and Jonathan Jones back. Let me know how y'all feel about everything I discussed in the video. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my points. Really appreciate y'all. Leave a like on the way out. And of course, man, I mean, if you watch this video all the way to the end like this, bro, shouts out to my Watch to the End gang, man. I really appreciate you, whether you're watching me or just listening to me with your phone in your pocket. And also shouts out to the late night crew that's, even though after the game happens, y'all are going to come back and watch this video later on tonight. That's insane. I appreciate y'all. And then most importantly as well, last but not least, shouts out to Noti gang that's on these videos immediately. I really appreciate y'all, and I'm going to catch y'all later. I'm out.